Turns of a Mascot's been out for about 2 months now, and honestly, it's opened up a lot of variety for a lot of players in the game. Most mid-end game PVMers who would never touch a raid in their lives or don't have time to raid now are able to enter Turns of a Mascot and get their little piggies wet. I think this is amazing for the game. It's honestly been great content, and it's really been healthy for the game's longevity. The high-level community does have a few problems, of course. A lot of people think the Fang needs to be nerfed or the other items buffed around them. If you do think this, you're not a very bright person. I will go into that on another video later, but the Fang is perfectly balanced. Stop complaining about it, and just please use your fucking brain before you start making tweets about why the raid is worse than next because it's less gold per hour. You're a dickhead. Now, in my personal opinion, I feel like Turns of a Mascot is probably the hardest raid out there, with Theatre of Blood being the easiest. I know that might come as a shock to most of you who haven't done Theatre of Blood because no one will teach you, but your boy's about to hit you with a fresh batch of premium 98 octane knowledge, so open up your brain tank and listen to this hot fact. The hardest part about learning Theatre of Blood, okay? The hardest part about Theatre of Blood is the dickhead that is teaching you. 80% of the people in this game don't know what the fuck they're doing, not when it comes to Theatre of Blood, but when it comes to teaching. Let me give you an example. You're at the workplace, right? You're at work. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but trust me, stick with it. This is going places. You're at work and there's a new guy starting. There is at least one cunt in your workplace that you do not want them teaching because you know they're shit. They might be more experienced than you. They might be pretty smart, but they don't know how to teach people. They couldn't teach a fucking monkey to throw shit, okay? They don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but you want to do it because you know what you're talking about because you're a smarter person. I'm that smarter person. 80% of the people in this game just don't know how to teach. It's not that they don't know how to raid, they just don't know how to process and give information to someone else who has no idea what the fuck they're doing. This is the problem with Theatre of Blood. And it sets up a boundary and a false sense of difficulty that doesn't need to be there. I'm going to go through each and every aspect of Theatre of Blood that I can in this video and explain to you why learning Theatre of Blood in old school RuneScape is a grind that grinds my gears. Now, whatever's going on in the background, I'll try to keep as relevant as possible to what I'm talking about. We will start off discussing the gear and the necessities of Theatre of Blood. A lot of people believe they can't start doing raids until they have a Warhammer. This is in fact a lie. Regardless of the team size, one Warhammer is enough to get a decent kill at Theatre of Blood. More Warhammers is great because that means you have more rolls at lowering defense specs, especially if the person with the Warhammer misses twice. That's totally fine. Nothing wrong with taking more, but it is not necessary. A BGS is a great alternative. If someone turns to you and says, you don't have a Warhammer, you're not raiding with us, do not raid with that person. Having more than one Warhammer on the team is absolutely not necessary for raiding. Having a BGS is a great alternative. If you don't have either, look, some people might not raid with you for that aspect, and that's fine. You can definitely find people that will raid with you in my Discord, discord.gg/BigDickEnergy, to help you learn Theatre of Blood. Moving on with gear, Elite Void is something people find is necessary for Theatre of Blood. I mean, it's free to get, it's cheap, it's easy. I've personally never used Elite Void. It's likely I never fucking will. It is not necessary. It definitely can help for maging if you are freezing and you don't have high enough or good enough gear or high enough levels to guarantee that freeze on the spiders in Maiden Room. And I know that Elite Void for range is actually the best in slot if you want to do as much damage as possible to things like the Nilo boss. Makes sense, but it's not too important because regardless of the gear you take in, a lot of people will drain their real life bank accounts into bonds to buy a scythe, full Torva. They're going to get Ancients and Ancestral and all that shit just to plank in Bloat Room because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. The gear is not the defining factor for Theatre of Blood. Elite Void is great, but there's absolutely no problem running full Crystal with an Aram switch and a Fighter Torso when you're meleeing. The results will be the exact fucking same. Now, starting the actual raid, going into the first room, you have Maiden. What's going to happen is if you have a Dragon Warhammer, you're going to grab that bad boy and you're going to donk her on the fucking bussy with a nice spec, followed by anyone with BGSs coming in to drain the rest of her defense, and it's going to go smoothly with the more damage and specs that land on her. You're going to keep hitting her at 70, 50, and 30% HP. She is going to spawn some spiders, which north and south freeze rolls will be freezing the spiders accordingly. Now, I'm not going to explain freezing spiders in this video. I do have a video on that, and I can do it in a later video, but there will be 4 spiders, typically numbered 1 to 4, that will spawn, 1 being closest to Maiden, 4 being closest to the gate. If you are not freezing, you will typically take out spider number 1 and 2 when they're frozen, and then get back to hitting the boss without standing in the blood. If you step in the blood, it will drain your prayer, HP, and also heal Maiden for whatever HP has been drained. It's a fucking pain in the ass. If any spiders go in to Maiden, it increases her max hit, including max hit through your prayer, and her attack speed. So you want to make sure those spiders don't go in, and you do not want to be standing in that blood. If you're going to kill the blood, I prefer that you range it. That way you don't accidentally step into the blood pools if it starts walking again, or if you just don't understand character pathing completely and you end up fucking the rest of your team. So the less you stand in the blood, the better time your team is going to have in that room. Moving on to rune number 2, you have Bloat. Very simple rune. You want to throw on your Salve Amulet. You don't want to Dragon Warhammer spec Bloat. He only has 100 defense. The Warhammer spec is useless. It'll only drain 30 defense. You do want a BGS spec though if you feel like it, because if you hit over 30, it's better than the Warhammer. It's a win game. All you're going to do is walk around the pillar, okay? Away from Bloat. You want to be opposite that cunt the entire fucking time. General rule is only turn a corner when he turns the corner, if that makes sense. You can get spicy and go too far ahead or hang back or whatever, but when you're learning, just turn the corner as he turns the corner. It helps tagging him through NPC indicators so you can see him through the pillar, and just keep walking around. When he goes down, you can attack him. Traditionally, you can get, I think, 4 or 5 whip hits. If you get to him quick enough, you can get 5 whip hits and a chally spec, and then book it behind the pillar, especially if he's on the corner. I'm not going to teach you about corner chally specking or anything like that. You're here to learn, you're not here to get technical, okay? You hit the cunt 4 times to be safe with the whip, and then fucking chally spec and run. It's totally fine if you don't get that 5th hit in, especially if you don't have time. Now, once Bloat gets back up and starts walking again, after his first down, hands and feet will start falling from the roof. You'll see a little black circle on the floor. These pieces of meat will not fall in the same spot twice in a row. So if meat just falls on the floor in one tile, you can stand on that tile and be absolutely safe for the next meat drop at least, and use that method to run around the pillar while Bloat is running around the pillar after you. Now, Bloat can turn around at any time, so you don't want to be directly behind him. You can pray range to reduce fly damage, which half the time, in my experience, doesn't actually make too much of a fucking difference. You're either going to die or you're going to survive. And I think I forgot to mention, it's important that you hug the pillar. Literally walk on that red line that goes around the pillar, but don't click directly on the pillar because it can path your guy straight round into Bloat and get you and your team killed. Now, when Bloat's health drops below 60%, there is a extremely high chance that he will start running. When he runs, boy does he fucking boogie. He's a big fucking boy. You want to make sure you stay away from him and stay vigilant. Keep moving when you can. When he drops below 5% HP, he will no longer be able to run again. I'm pretty sure it's 5%. So it's like a 90% chance that he will be running when he's below 60% HP. And I think the lower his health gets, the less likely he is to run until he hits 5%. Then he will be walking again regardless. Once you deck the cunt, you can leave the room. If you have a blue Salve Amulet on you, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. You should be bringing the pink one. Drop the pink Salve Amulet, because now you can buy an extra piece of food or a stamina potion or a potion of any kind from the chest because you got some points, because your boy taught you how to survive through the first 2 rooms of Theatre of Blood. Room number 3 is the Nihilus room. This is a very smart and technical room. On a very basic level, it's easy. If you want to get smart, if you want to get technical, if you really want to speed up this room, it gets really challenging and exciting. And honestly, it's a whole lot of fun. There's so much you can do in this room to just switch this cunt up and have a lot of fun. But we're going to talk about it on a very base level. You have grey, melee, green, range, blue, mage. Now, in a 3-man raid, typically the South Freezer from Maiden will be the designated permanent major of Nihilo room. There'll be someone doing the range role for the raid who will take on the range Nihilus, and then the final player on that team will take on the melee role. If you have 4 people, you'll have a second person on the melee role. Whoever was North Freezing in Maiden will help with meleeing, and then we'll typically switch to the mage role to help freeze when it gets to the come phase inside the Nihilo room. And if you have 5 players, you'll just have the 2 freezers in Maiden doing permanent mage, the 2 non-range role people doing melee, and whoever's on the range role will be sitting on the range role in Nihilus room. The range role is the easiest and honestly probably the most fun phase, because you just got the blowpipe and you just shit on every kid you want. You can use chins as well in here, but when you're learning, chins are 100% not fucking needed for Theatre of Blood. It's not necessary when you're learning. You don't need them. You got a blowpipe, it's fast and it hits hard and it's good. So that's your general setup for what you would do if you were 3, 4 or 5-man rolls. Going into the room, if you hit a spider with the wrong attack style, if you whip, or melee, sorry, a spider that is not grey, and then the spider goes grey, you cannot kill that spider. You cannot do damage to that spider anymore. Once you attack the spider with the wrong attack style, that's it. You can no longer do damage to that spider. One of your teammates needs to kill that spider for you, or you have to let it explode. If the spiders explode, you will take up to like 18 damage or some shit, maybe even 20 damage. It's not fucking nice. So especially when you're on the melee roll, you want to keep on moving and not stand still for too long, but you always want to be moving. Now there are two different types of Nihilakis that enter the room. You've got the aggressive kind, and then you've got the pillar kind. The pillar kind will walk to a pillar and just hit the fucking pillar all day long until they blow up. The aggressive kind will walk in and they will do nothing but attack you and your teammates. These are the priority. You want to kill the aggressive Nihilos as soon as you can. Get them out of the fucking room. If you see one walk to the middle of the room or walk to one of your teammates, fuck it up. That is your absolute priority, because there's nothing worse than having to eat inside Nihilo room. If the major has to brew down, and then they don't get the stats back before they start freezing again, you can lose some serious time and some serious ticks, and it can throw the entire raid. If you have to eat a shark when you're meleeing, that throws you off by 4 or 5 ticks and can slow you down consistently. So you want to get rid of the Nihilos as soon as you can. Praying against the Nihilos can typically help reduce a lot of damage and reduce their accuracy, but it won't stop them from fucking slapping you. So you want to take on the aggressive Nihilos and then focus on the pillars. And then finally, for the wave part of this room, you have little Nihilos and big Nihilos. The pattern for when the Nihilos enter the room is the same for every raid. It is always the same rhythm, the same pattern, so you will eventually learn how the room works and when you can start Charlie specking or scythe hitting the double Nihilos, which ones are aggressive, so you can prioritize them before they actually get into the room, and that's when you can really start getting technical. The pattern is always the exact same every single Theatre of Blood raid. The only difference in every room is the bigger Nihilos. You got the little ones and the big ones. The big ones, when you kill them, will actually spawn 2 little Nihilos, which will be a random assortment of color, and they will always attack the pillar. They will never be aggressive Nihilos, but they will always be a random color. So if you kill a big grey one, it could be blue and green, it could be 2 green, it could be grey and blue, who knows, but they will always go for the pillar. So that's the only random aspect of that room which you just have to make up for. That's where the skill of the player actually comes into being consistent and efficient. Otherwise, the room is the exact same the entire way through. And then once you finish all the waves and the pillars are still standing, at least one pillar is still standing, which if the pillar falls, by the way, you will take a lot of damage, so make sure you do pot up and keep an eye on their health. Once the waves are finished and at least one pillar is still standing, it'll be time to fight the Nihilakis boss. Sorry, it's also worth noting that if you freeze the Nihilos as the major, it doesn't matter like what color they are. Freezing them stuns them from attacking for 3 seconds, I believe it is, so they won't even hit the pillar. They'll just stand there and look at the pillar. But of course, if you do freeze one that goes grey or that isn't blue at the time of it being frozen, you won't be able to damage it, but you can still freeze the grey and green Nihilos to stop them from hitting the pillars, which can save quite a bit of HP. But just remember, freezing is slower than using your Trident or Sang Staff, so you kind of have to like manage your attacks, because you don't want to have all the aggros in the middle fucking you while you're freezing 3 fucking Nihilos on the pillar. So it's about time management, and it's about making sure that you're prioritizing your damage and your freezes. But like I said, Nihilo boss. Nihilo boss is very simple. Same mechanics. Grey, green, blue, same idea. It always starts on grey. Always comes down on grey. Every 8 ticks, I believe it is, it will change color. Now, you want to make sure that you don't attack it with the wrong attack style. If you attack it with the wrong attack style, it will heal for the damage you're meant to do and inflict that damage back on you. It is not fucking fun. So it's that simple. What you also want to be doing is changing your prayer before you change your gear. So when he goes green, for example, range pray, then put your range gear on, then attack. It seems inefficient, but when you're learning, that is the safest way to take on the boss, because he will change attack style and then throw a fucking hit like 2 ticks later. And if you're still switching gear, he can hit you up to 80. I believe it's 80. Something like that. He can hit big. So change your prayer, change your gear. Even if you only get 1 hit in, you're better off being alive and doing fuck all damage than you are dying and wasting points. That's the rule of Theatre of Blood. You're better off surviving and doing little damage than you are dying and wasting points. Now moving on to Soat, the final room before the final supply chest. Soat is a bit of a fucking fuck, okay? This cunt's got a lot of defense. The Fang is beautiful in this room. If you have a Fang, you're guaranteed MVP unless someone has a scythe and hammers are getting hit. Soat has an attack that fires out a little red ball. This is a magic attack. If you are praying mage, it'll hit you and then it will bounce off you to your teammates within a 10 square radius. It can either be another magic ball or it will be a black ball, which is range. The black balls will only come from your teammates. They will never come from Soap. They'll only bounce off your teammates. Now, if you are not praying correctly against the mage or range balls when they hit you, it will damage you and will actually disable your overhead prayers for a couple of seconds, which means if you have a second ball coming your way, you better eat the fuck up or you're going to fucking Lumbridge. You're going to be sitting in gay baby jail watching your team do the rest of the fucking kill. Soap can also melee you. It's not very accurate, and if you're wearing Bandos or Torva, you're normally pretty safe. If you're in Void, you're kind of fucked. But his melee attack can hit pretty fucking hard. So you can pray melee to lower the damage of it from like 50 to maybe 20 or some shit. But you want to be careful. If the mage ball's coming at you, you want to flick to mage before he does attack you. The safest thing to do, honestly, is to camp mage pray when you're learning and just cop the hits on the chin sometimes. But if you're feeling confident and there's no ball coming to you, throw on the melee pray and be ready to flick when Soat is attacking you. Now, he will shoot out a ball every so often. It's a big red DD ball. It's like a Zuck attack, essentially. And your team has to all stand on the same square. Typically, you meet right in front of him in the middle. You have to be on the same square or within a 1 square radius. So you can stand back as well so you don't get meleeed. This ball will split the damage between your team. Otherwise, it's going to fucking kill you if you are not splitting the damage appropriately. It is tick eatable, which is not a learner thing, so don't worry about that. And if you are the last person in Soat Room because your team's died, the ball will only do 70 damage, so you can eat up past 70 and you can be fine copying the hit. Now, this ball comes out depending on how many mage attacks Soat has thrown. So if you all stand inside melee range and he's meleeing, it actually delays the timer for when he throws out this DD attack. We just call it the DD because it's simple. So you don't want to be standing out and flinching him too often unless you're really tight on supplies. You do want to stay in melee range and hope he melees. That way, it can delay that DD, which then delays the overall team damage that your team is taking. Now, when Soat hits 66 and 33% HP, you guys have to run a maze. One person is selected to run a maze inside this fucking Shadow Realm. Everyone's on the outside and has to follow the red squares. Once your team on the outside passes the 3rd row of the maze, a portal starts behind you that will damage you and kill you, so you have to keep fucking running. Whoever's inside the maze, go 3 tiles into the maze, wait a couple seconds if you're not in voice comms. If you are in voice comms, which you should be with a learner, when you're ready, start running the fucking maze, click the red tiles. Don't get technical, just click every fucking corner and you'll be fine and your team can fucking keep up. Keep running, keep moving, get to the other end. Do not run back onto the maze when you get out until it goes light. While the maze is dark, you will get fucked. That is a serious fucking note people need to consider just taking on board, because you'll fucking wipe a team by doing that very fucking quickly. Follow the maze, get out, wait for it to go light before you step back onto it if you are ranging or for whatever reason fucking running out there. And finally, for Soap with specs, typically people will like only spec 1 and 3 or 1 and 2. If you have a light bearer ring, which you should be bringing in to Theatre of Blood now, there's no debating it. It's better than the Berserker ring all year round. You can spec every fucking phase anyway, it doesn't matter. But split your specs up with the team so that, like, if you've got 2 Warhammers, one guy does 1 and 2, the other guy does 1 and 3. If you miss, so be it. It's just about communication at that point. But now we're going to move on to the second last room, Zarpus. Now, before going into Zarpus, you do have a supply chest after Soap. You want to make sure you take 1 stamina potion. A good rule is to take at least 5 like super restores, and then the rest brews in your super combats and whatever, but as many brews as you can. But five super restores on a learner team when you're learning is normally enough to get you through the rest of the raid, because you're going to do Zarpus now. And in Zarpus room, the goal is, in my opinion, when you're learning, is to use no supplies. Like, it's almost better to just die than it is to use a supply while you're learning, just because you want to have those supplies with Verzik. So if it's between dying or sipping a brew, take the fucking L. Just take the L, go to jail, let your team do the rest of the room. That way you have that extra brew, then that extra restore you'd be drinking after for Verzik, because it can make all the difference if shit goes sideways in that room very quickly. So, going into Zarpus, very simple as a learner. Stand on the vents, okay? When Zarpus starts, if you have a Dragon Warhammer or BGS, hit him twice, okay? Spec him. And then you want to go stand in the back of the room and start ranging him. You're going to have a range weapon. You're not going to be doing whip running or scythe running when you're learning. You're not. Stand in the back of the room. Pick a corner, okay? Start hitting him with range. Summon your thralls if you have thralls. Start fucking hitting him. When Zarpus looks at you, move 2 squares to the right. Let's do this. Keep hitting him. Zarpus looks at you again. Guess what? I'm going to move 2 squares to the right. And so on. And that's all you do. You just keep moving 2 squares every time he looks at you on the outside of the room. And just keep doing a full rotation. You should be able to get him down before you even do a full loop anyway, but move 2 squares at a time away from where you were just standing while Zappas, every time Zappas looks at you. That's all you have to do. As a learner, just fucking move 2 squares every time he looks at you. That is it. Once he gets around 25 to 28% HP, depending on how many vents went in. If the vent lets like all the balls in, it can be like 32% health that he screeches at, but the more balls that go in, the higher level he screeches. When he screeches, you should only then attack him when he's not looking at you. He'll start turning, okay? Every 8 ticks, he'll turn. Attack him. If you have a whip, for example, hit him twice and then move, or stop attacking at least. Always click the floor or do a spin or do whatever you can to cancel your attack animation. It's okay if you don't move and you just like sit there, wait for him to stop looking at you and then you hit him again. Just don't fucking look at him when you're hitting him. If he's looking at you and you hit him, he's going to throw a ball at you. If you're full HP, you can probably survive it. If you're not, you're going to die. He can hit you for up to like 85. If all the balls go in, he can hit up to like 93. I think even 99 might actually be the max hit at that point. So you just want to be careful. When he's not looking at you, hit him twice. There's no speed, run time or anything. There's no rush. Take your time. Kill the cunt. Once he's dead, pick up that Dawnbringer staff and head into Verzik for the final room. Inside Verzik. This is basically a fucking guide. Now, inside Verzik, it's very simple, okay? She's sitting in the chair. She's a big old gal. What you're going to do is drop all your resources, not in the same spot, just like in the general area, not in the middle of the room, not directly hugging pillars, but just like around the room, drop your resources. I think a general good rule is to keep a max 4 brews and 2 restores on you when you're learning. If you're not super confident, go 3 brews and 1 restore. But 2 restores, 4 brews is pretty fucking safe. Drop the rest on the floor. That way, if you die, you don't have those resources in your inventory. Your team can pick them up and use them in the final fight. So it's a great strategy just to help your team out if shit goes sideways. And then you pick them up as you need them. All right, what you're going to do is start with your team in front of Verzik. Now, you're going to go in the orb order in the top left corner, which I forgot, by the way. Maiden prioritizes the first room, prioritizes like the tank will be the person at the top of the orb list going down, and then whoever's most north to south, if that makes sense. It doesn't, but trust me, someone can teach you that. So the general rule is go in the order of the orbs in the top corner. That way you guys know who's using the staff. You're going to spec with the staff, which does 35% spec, and it hits the cunt fucking hard. So throw on your mage gear, pray mage. If you don't pray mage, you will get 1 hit. If you do pray mage, you can survive a shot at least. What you're going to do is start the fight. Okay? You're going to spec her twice when it's your turn with the Dawnbringer. You're going to hide behind the pillar. When she opens her legs, okay, you can hit her twice with a whip, a trident, a sangstaff, the Dawnbringer, whatever. Hit her twice, then hide. Yes, you can hit her 4 times if you're super slick and you're tricky, but you're learning. Hit her twice and fucking hide. Okay? Just do that. It's like doing Warcraft. You don't need to weeks walk in your first KC. Just walk around and just wait. Okay? There's no rush. You're learning. Hit her twice with your Sangstaff, hide behind the pillar. Hit her twice with your Trident or your Dawnbringer, whatever, hide behind the pillar. When your spec is back up to 30, it should be up to 40% soon, whenever it does, and it's your turn again, spec her again, drop the staff on the floor for the next person to spec and repeat. Once the pillar goes down, or when the pillar's about to go down, make sure you step out. Do not be under the pillar. When it goes down, you'll get hit. Step out. This is, sorry, you start on the left pillar, by the way, I didn't mention that. Then you run to the right pillar up the front, okay? Typically, if you have light bearer rings, you should be able to down her before you go to the 3rd pillar. But if not, the 3rd pillar you will then hide behind on the side. Make sure you're hiding in the middle tile or the tile furthest from Verzik. Otherwise, she will be able to hit you from behind the pillar. That's simple. Once she goes down, step out from the pillars because they will all fall and hit you if you are standing under her. And then we start P2, which apparently is fucking hard for some people. And to be honest, the reason that P2 is hard is because the dickhead that's teaching you doesn't know how to teach you. So I'm going to teach you how to do it right now, which is kind of hard on the green screen, but just trust me, it's fucking accurate. P2 Verzik is very simple, okay? You've got 4 tiles, not directly next to Verzik, like 1 tile out from her. So she's a big gal, all right? You're going to step one, like leave a 1 tile gap between her, then pick 4 tiles. All you're going to do while practicing, okay, to get your timing right, is just walking. Keep your run on, but just walk 4 tiles, okay? Just keep walking. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll never take damage doing this, okay? Now remember what I said earlier. You're better off doing no damage in P2 than you are dying in P2. Even if you do the whole P2 like this, it's not a problem. You're learning, okay? What you're going to do, when you're ready, you're going to attack Verzik and then step back out. Now, when you see her cape flick, you can hit her and then step out. But you have to make sure you step out. You can't hit her and stand still. It's just in, out, 3, 4. In, out, 3, 4. In, out, 3, 4. You get what I'm saying? And if you're unsure, start walking in the circle then. 2, 3, 4. When you're ready to hit, 1, 2, 3, 4. In, out, fuck, wit. Very simple. You don't have to hit it every time if you're not ready. You are better off doing no damage and surviving and helping out on P3 than you are dying on P2. You always are. It's a guarantee. Okay? You're learning. You're not trying to set a fucking world record. You are learning P2. Now, there is a blue ball of lightning that will come out and bounce between either you or you and your other teammates. It's random. Okay? You don't want to be fucking miles away from your team. You want to be as close to Verzik as possible without getting bounced by her. So if you're doing this 4 square method, you will never get zapped and you will never zap your teammates for being too far away. That's what's good about this method while you're learning, okay? Just keep going. It's going to hit you and it's going to hit her back too. Now, if you do run away and it hits you, you're probably going to get you or your teammate killed. You're going to get hit pretty fucking hard. So try not to fucking run off from Verzik. And if you do, don't run off for too long. If you see the blue ball coming, run the fuck back in. Now, she will also summon spiders, okay? If she summons the Nihilika spiders, which are the blue, green, or grey, they will walk towards a target. They'll typically pick someone, then switch target instantly. Whoever they're walking towards, if they get too close to you, they'll blow up and hit up to like 50 or 60 damage. If they lose health, they'll do less damage, so you can, when you get technical, start hitting them. But you basically just want to wait for them to get close and then run. Run, they'll blow up and then run back in. It's a little bit awkward to explain without showing you, but if you watch me do Theatre of Blood on my streams here on YouTube 5 days a week, or you just watch someone else do Theatre of Blood, you'll kind of get what I mean by running away then coming back when they explode. There'll also be a purple spider, which has to be damaged with poison. DDS if you have one. If you have a SERP helmet on, anything. If you don't have a SERP helmet, a temp whip, blowpipe. If you have a T-bow, poison your arrows, dragon arrows. Just take like 50 poison arrows or 100 poison arrows. Use that. Once you hit it with poison, it'll disappear and it will stop healing Verzik and damage her instead. During this phase, you want to be praying range as well, because her little cabbage attack will deal damage up to like 45. If you have a range pray, it'll drop it down to about 20 for the max hit. So you want to pray range until you're very confident and turn that shit off. Once she hits 35% HP, pray mage, because she will start using a blood spell that will be healing her. If you're a praying mage, it will do almost fucking nothing and it will barely heal her. But she can still range attack. So keep moving. 1, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4. All right? Keep doing it. Keep moving. Keep hitting her. Now, when the red spiders come out at 35%, you want to kill the spider before you start attacking her. Well, not necessarily kill it. You can, like, there's a phase where she's kind of like floating around like this shit here. And, like, if you hit her, you're going to heal her. So you want to hit the spider. You can get 3 attacks on the spider with a whip before you can start hitting her again. You want to hit the spider so the HP is, like, the idea is, there's nothing wrong with killing the spider. But the idea is you hit the spider so it's like, the spider has less HP than your max hit. Because then you're better off hitting her for 30 than hitting the spider for 22. Does that make sense? But there's no problem with it. It doesn't matter if you just finish the spider off anyway, because there's no heal back and the spider has less defense than her. So you're better off hitting the spider for 22 than her for 3 fucking zeros. So it's up to you if you want to kill the spider completely. The spider will move and can path your guy into getting fucked. So make sure you keep moving and just don't fucking stand still, because if you stand still, you're going to get hit with a range attack. You're going to fucking die. P3. Once she hits 0 health, P3 is a bit of a fuck fest. If you're a tank and you're learning, just fucking run away or stand under her. You can shift left click under her now, stand under her until she swaps tank to someone else. You're not tanking when you're learning, okay? Throw tanking out the fucking window. Just let someone else tank or you're gonna get your team killed, okay? You're learning. Now, if there's blue ball of lightning, sorry, just her blue ball attack is mage, green spikes is range, and if she melees, like blue lightning comes out of her and she hits everyone around her and everyone fucking dies. So that's why you don't want to be tanking. She shouldn't melee if you're not in melee range when she goes to attack. Green spikes, range, blue ball mage. The damage is calculated when it hits you, so you have time to change your prayer. 4 phases inside P3. Phase 1, spiders will spawn. If you have freezes, freeze the spiders. If you can pop them, pop the spiders. They work just like they do in P2. They will come after you and pop on you. Phase 2, Webs. You're not web running when you're learning. You're going to stand on the outside, you're going to throw on your mage gear, unless you have a T-bow or a Bofa, and you're going to start hitting her, and you're going to run around the outside of the room, clockwise or anti-clockwise, whatever you decide as a team. If anyone's running with you, run together as a group. Okay? Run on the outside of the room. You can hit her or you can just run. It doesn't matter. Just don't stand on the webs. If you get caught on the webs, you'll be stuck and you'll take damage. You can attack the webs to free your teammates though. If you see a teammate stuck in webs, hit the web on the floor, takes 8 damage, you can save them. Web running isn't important because you're fucking learning. Phase number 3. What's number 3? Oh yeah, the yellow balls. So basically, you can't attack her and yellow dots will come up on the floor, 1 for each teammate, alright? Stand on the yellow dot, she'll shoot a ball in the air, the ball will hit you, you will take damage up to 70 if you are not on that yellow dot. So just stand on the dot and wait. And then finally, the 4th phase is a big green ball. This is a big old bussy. She fucking fires that at one person on the team. That'll do up to like 74 damage, but can be bounced between your team. I don't know how the bouncing works, I can't remember. I think it's like if you bounce it 5 times. If the ball bounces up to 5 times between your team, it gets nullified, then there's like fucking 7 damage or some shit. But if typically you will just eat up to full health on the yellow ball phase where you're standing on that spot, and then you'll just tank the fucking hit if it's on you. To be honest, that's the best way to do it. So just keep your HP high, max like 100 plus HP, and just cop it to the fucking face like a fresh 18-year-old on the Friday night. That's mostly it, to be honest. Once Verzik hits 20% HP, she will summon purple portals. These portals will chase you at walking speed, and they won't stop fucking running after you. They're like the snail man mode, okay? It will fucking hunt you down. Keep moving. Stamina potion. Keep moving. Hit her. Her attack speed speeds up from 7 ticks to 5 ticks. Keep hitting Verzik, but keep fucking moving. Don't stand still. If you heal Verzik, the tornado will deal you for a certain amount of your health and will heal her for 3 times what damage it did to you. Healing Verzik will ruin the KC. Even if you do nothing, just keep running around. If you're gonna die, don't die by the portal. The tornado, sorry. Your goal is to not heal her. Not healing her will get a KC. 100%. Sometimes you can't help it. People make mistakes, it's fine. But not healing her is the absolute priority as a learner. Even if you hit her once and then run away, then come back and hit her again, as long as you're not healing Verzik, the rest of your team should be totally fine, provided they're not healing her too. Her cycles will repeat, so once the green ball comes out, the spiders and the webs, and then the yellow, and then the green ball, and so on. So it will cycle around when the portals are out while you're doing these specials. With the yellow ball phase, where she throws up the balls and you have to stand on the yellow spot, my advice is if you can't make it so you run onto the yellow spot at the perfect tick to catch the ball but not heal her, my advice is take the yellow ball. Tank it. Eat up past 70 HP, tank the yellow ball, because you're better off getting hit and dying by the yellow ball even than you are healing her. 100% every time. It's okay to die in P3 if it means you're not healing her and get the KC. It's totally fine. You're a learner. You're learning and you will eventually get used to adapting to these situations. Theater of Blood isn't that hard, guys. I just explained every room to you better than anyone else in this fucking game will ever teach you. And I did that for free. So all you have to do in return is hit the like button down below, subscribe, and if you ever get a purple, just let me know what you got and send me a sweet little thank you kiss. My name is King Condor, guys, and this is another episode of Grinds that grind my gears. If you don't know how to teach people in TOB, just shut the fuck up and send them my way. I'll do it for you, because I'll do it fucking properly. Alright, fuck off. This is the easiest room in the raid. It's quite simple. You got a big boy. Look at him, goddamn! Fuck me, look at that boy. It's huge!